God in the Animals 53rd था.
हाँ, God in Animals, right. हाँ, creation के बाद में God in Animals आ गया था.
हाँ.
53rd, God in Animals. 22nd para on page 164. क्या हुआ, ये रिकॉर्डिंग शुरू क्यों नहीं हुआ? हाँ, हो गया, मेरे को नहीं दिखा. How can one forget the cuckoo? Whom does it call? In the summer, rivers and streams dry up, but tender green leaves sprout on trees. Does it ask, who brought about this marvel? Where is its creator? How intense and sweet is its voice? A religious observance named Kokila Vrata has been prescribed in Hinduism. Women observing this Vrata take food only after hearing the cuckoo's voice. This observance teaches us to see the Lord in the cuckoo. The cuckoo seems to be chanting the Upanishads in its melodious voice. One hears its voice, but it remains hidden. Cuckoo is very hard to see. That's one bird, very, very difficult to see.
And I don't know how many times I've seen it.
But it's generally very difficult.
Yeah, I've seen many times, and both pied cuckoo as well as the normal one also.
Lucky. The poet Wordsworth was so enchanted by the cuckoo that he would wander in the forest in search of it. The great poet of England is mad after the cuckoo. But in India, even ordinary housewives do not take food without hearing its voice. This Kokilavrata has put ordinary Indian women at par with the great poet. To hear the cuckoo's sweet singing is the height of joy. The Lord has manifested himself in the form of the cuckoo also. 23rd, a cuckoo is worthy of admiration. Is a crow less so? I like it very much. Its call may be shrill, still it has its own sweetness. How nice a crow looks when it arrives flapping its wings. Little children are particularly attached to it. A child does not like to take his food within the four walls of the house. You have to take him into the open yard and make him eat by turning his attention towards the crows and sparrows. Is this attraction of a child for a crow a sign of craziness? No. Rather, it is a sign of wisdom. A child instantly identifies itself with the Lord manifested in the crow. A mother may try in many ways to persuade him to eat. The child remains stubborn, but he gets absorbed in observing the crow, flapping its wings, and eats unmindfully what the mother puts into his mouth. Aesop's fables are based on the child's curiosity about the creation. Aesop saw the Lord everywhere. If I prepare a list of the books I like, Aesop's fable would be on the top of that list. Aesop's world does not have human beings only. It also has foxes, dogs, hares, wolves, crows, tortoises, etc. The whole creation speaks to Aesop. He has a divine vision. The Ramayana, too, is based on that vision. Tulsidas, while describing Rama's childhood, has narrated a little incident. Rama, playing in the courtyard, tries to catch a crow nearby, but in vain. Then Rama hits upon an idea. He takes a piece of sweet in his hands and lures the crow. Tulsidas has written verse after verse describing such an ordinary incident. Why? Because the crow too is a form of the Lord. God that is in Rama is there in that crow too. The acquaintance between Rama and the crow is one between two manifestations of the Supreme Self. Point number 54. Seeing God in the evil too. Para 24. To sum up, God is everywhere in the universe. As holy rivers, high mountains, serene oceans, tender-hearted cows, noble horses, majestic lions, sweet-voiced cuckoos, beautiful peacocks, clean and solitude-loving snakes, crows flapping their wings, the upward rising flames, the still stars, He is pervading the whole creation in different forms. We should train our eyes to see Him everywhere. First in simple forms, and then in the complex ones. We should first learn simple letters and then the complex joint letters. Until we learn the joint letters, there is no progress in reading. Unless we are able to see God manifested in crooked forms, our progress will be hampered. At every step, we shall come across the joint letters. We shall come across crooked and evil forms every now and then. In the end, we must learn to see God in them too. God in Rama is readily acceptable, but we must also comprehend divinity. In Ravana, God in Prahlad is readily acceptable, but we must also comprehend divinity in Hiranyakashipu. The Veda has said, Namo Namah Stenanam Pataye Namo Namah. Namah Punjishtebhyo, Namo Nishadebhyah, Brahmadasha, Brahmadasa, Brahmai Veme Kitvaha. Salutation to the robber, chieftain. Salutation to the cruel and the violent. The robbers, the cruel, the swindlers, all are Brahman. Salutation to them all. How easy or difficult is this? Milka, how easy or difficult is this to practice?
Easy for one who has reached that state of mind.
वही तो.
Difficult for the rest of us. हम लोग सिंपल थिंग्स को, जैसे खाने की चीजें हो, सिंपल थिंग्स को हम लोग गुड बैड करके जजमेंट करते ही हैं. तो यहाँ पे तो I suppose one of the reasons they ask you to see even the divine and even the bad is because without the existence of negative forces, you cannot appreciate the positive. If everything was positive, you wouldn't know how to appreciate and what to appreciate. You take it for granted.
Correct. Yani, even if like when we try to say this, even while explaining to others, though intelligently, just verbose treatment that we give to it, we try to see how indirectly it may be having a positive effect. But we do not accept it, that evil also has God. हम उसके अंदर कुछ ढूंढ के कुछ सही प्रॉफिटेबल या बेनिफिशियल कुछ उसमें देखने की कोशिश करते हैं और उसको ही गॉड मानते हैं. बट व्हाट आई कैन सी हियर, व्हाट वी नीड टू डू is to see the commonality
Yeah.
in that good and the bad. There is a common denominator between the two. And if we can see that because that is not possible to see in the good. That commonality that causes the good and the bad, there's something that is common between them. And that common is what is God. So, evil के अंदर ही हम वो देख पाएंगे. It is not possible to see it in the good. That's the real essence. Good में तो हम goodness को God बोल देते हैं. Really speaking, that is the sattvic good.
Yeah.
लेकिन not that God factor which you can make yourself see in the evil.
I was reading the chapter 7 yesterday, some shlokas. तो उसमें भी उन्होंने वही कहा है कि बाहर जो भी हो, इवल हो, गुड हो, चाइल्ड हो, वुमन हो, एनिमल हो, कुछ भी हो, जो उनको कॉन्शियसनेस देता है वो मैं हूं. So the other things that you attribute as qualities, whether it's gender, species, actions, good or bad, everything is more dealing with the body. Right? It's more dealing with the external. और in yogic terms, प्रकृति का जो है सिंह, लेकिन जो सूक्ष्म है, जो कॉन्शियसनेस देता है, तो वो मैं ही हूँ और सब में मैं वो ही हूँ. I'm undifferentiated. Correct. And I had read this as an example from a talk by Swami Tejomayanand. He compares that to the sun, Brahman to the sun, and he says the sunlight, when it enters a room, it makes the room bright. It enters a pot, it makes the pot bright. It enters a forest, it makes the forest bright. So that is like the Atman, where the light has entered something and made it bright. That is the Atman, as per Vedanta. So the consciousness, universal consciousness is same and provides the consciousness in each being who has taken a form.
Okay.
And depending on how much is the tamas factor or the sattva factor, the consciousness is less or more. It's not that the quantity of consciousness is less, but it's क्या बोलते हैं, manifestation of that consciousness is less or more, because the more you are judged or the more you have kleshas, the more that consciousness is hidden.
Very right.
So that was a very nice explanation, I felt,
Good explanation, really nice.
Yeah. So I think this is what he is like you were saying, seeing that it's the same thing which we fail to see. Because any other attributes are to do with the body. But the consciousness is the same. And that is what is meant by seeing the divine in everything.
Yeah. That is what we need to be able to see.
Yeah.
So I choose to see God in the robber. I choose to see God in Ravana. I choose to see God in evil. Back of
actually, it's difficult for us to see that as long as our ego is I. Because it's our ego which makes us say something as big or small, something as good or bad, everything. So as long as our ego is at that level,
we have a point of view about everything.
That's why we have a point of view, correct. So what I think is, initially, it's when it's difficult to see the divine in even the robber and the murderer and everybody, we can start seeing, like Hansaji used to say, okay, a person may be a robber, he may be a dacoit, but that is one face of him. But with his family, he may be the best husband, best father. So it's not that anybody is 100% bad or 100% good.
We are sort of repeating what we discussed in the truth wala post yesterday.
Yeah.
What is our senses perceive, and immediate inference also we do without even realizing and knowing. So if we can prevent ourselves from that inference, I suppose, we might be able to see God, even in the evil.
Yeah, but like I pointed out, as long as the ego is param charan par, it is difficult. So first we have to do those things which helps to bring in humility. Once that comes, and then still we will not be able to see, because still the Sharanagati is not there. So when Sharanagati starts coming, I think we will be able to see that. Till then, it's difficult. Till then, actually, as the ego starts going down, at least we reduce our being judgmental, in the sense that where we will take a very rigid stance, कि नहीं वो तो ऐसा ही है. If somebody does something, we'll just say that, वो तो ऐसा ही है. But then if when we start reducing our this being judgmental, our ego, we may start saying, maybe it is because of this that he is doing it. So when we are doing this, change of thinking, from being judgmental, from being rigid, and being, condemning or whatever straight away, to, seeking possibilities. Okay, this is also possible, that is also possible. You are still making inference, but at least now we are going from a very high ego to a slightly one notch lower. Because now we are slowly opening up our minds to other possibilities.
At least we must try.
Yeah, definitely.
Brahman and salutation to them all. Okay, I'll continue.
Yeah.
What does this mean? This means that after mastering the small letters, we should master the capital letters. After mastering the simple, we should master the complex. Carlyle has written a book on hero worship. Therein, he has called Napoleon a hero. God in him is not in a pure form. There is a mixture, but we must discern him there too. That is why Tulsidas has called Ravana Rama's devotee in opposition. Wow, nicely said. Ravan too is a devotee, albeit of a different type. Different
of a different type.
My eyes are getting stressed so easily. You continue.
Fire burns and causes swelling in the burnt part of the body, but the swelling subsides after fermentation. That is, after using a different form of the same element, that is heat. Fire is also heat and the fermentation is also heat. Different forms of the same element thus do different things. Ram and Ravan are manifestations of one and the only God, although appearances differ. Yesterday I was listening to one guy. He was the topic he was talking on was asuras.
What was the topic?
Asur.
Okay.
It is like these are the clips from a longer talk. So he must have been asked something about gods and then about asurs. So he was talking about asurs and human beings and all that way. So he was saying the amount of focus, concentration, dedication, sincerity that is there in an asur is not there in a human also. But whereas a human with that kind of focus and all, if he has the right attitude, he can reach the highest as far as the divine is concerned. The Asur's main thing, why he is a Asur, is his massive ego. So he'll do all his focus to and everything to attain God. The darshan of God. But the moment he gets the darshan of God, he asks for something very selfish. And the moment he asks for that selfish thing, what he does is all that whatever he has got, he misuses it. Whereas if the same devotion is applied for achieving God and you achieve God, he's saying that's what the human is capable of.
I know.
Very few human beings have the focus of the Asura, but
Correct.
when they have the focus, they can achieve. But then that is equally applicable for even people who are into गोरख धंधा, even among the humans.
Right.
ना क्या फोकस क्या कंसंट्रेशन होता है उन लोग का, लेकिन किस
solid.
तरह से कि कैसे चीट कर देगा.
डॉक्टर ने बोला था ना एक बार, even cat can have a great concentration when it is
Yes.
aiming for the rat, but it
Yeah.
cannot concentrate on the Yoga Sutras.
Correct.
वो concentration वाले सूत्र समझा रहे थे क्लास में. That's when he gave this reference. So while we translate Yug Samadho, we have to remember this.
No, that's why another thing that once we were discussing somewhere on dharma, we said the dharma can be different. I mean, dharma focus, it depends on the nature of the person. Like for an ordinary person, the dharma might be doing something good and all that.
Yeah.
Trying to achieve, it's going on the aklishta path. But for the robber, for the murderer, the dharma is totally different.
Very different.
कि वो हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना, चोरी भी करता है तो शिद्दत से करता है.
Dharma is the most dynamic concept.
Yeah, term. I believe it has got more than 100 meanings.
According to which it changes.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. It's even in the dictionary, I believe it's got more than 100 meanings.
हाँ, अब बोल. बाहर इतना वो मशीन कोई चल रहा है तो उसका आवाज आया नहीं लगा, तो तेरी आवाज सुनी नहीं.
नहीं, I said, even in the dictionary, dharma is supposed to have more than 100 meanings.
Right.
It's so difficult to explain it.
Very difficult.
Shall I continue?
So many when and so many whats. When what? When what?
Shall I continue?
एक paragraph complete करते हैं इसको.
Yeah. Gross and subtle, simple and complex, small letters and capital letters, learn everything and realize in the end that there is no place where the Lord is not present. He is present in every atom. He pervades the whole universe. The Lord who cares equally for all, who is full of knowledge and wisdom, love, compassion, power, beauty, and holiness, is everywhere, all around us.
Okay, we will try and be the Prahlad.
As less judgmental as possible. Because शुरुआत तो वहीं से करना है.
हाँ?
शुरुआत तो वहीं से करना पड़ेगा, I said. Where we stop labeling things. Correct. And people.
Correct. Wow. What I'm liking is I throughout kept on seeing the connection. Automatically it got connected with our discussion yesterday. Truth. एक मेरे को हमेशा इसके अंदर एक क्वेश्चन रहा है, ये नीचे चैप्टर के एंड में ये ब्रैकेट के अंदर जो नंबर्स लिखे हैं, आई कुडंट डिसाइफर व्हाट आर दे फॉर, सो इफ यू कैन,
Even
है ना, नहीं समझ
I've,
में।
no, I have not yet been, unless he's referring to
Yeah,
some,
where you completed reading, that's the end of the chapter 10.
huh,
There is in the bracket 24.4.32,
yeah, I saw that.
but I didn't understand what is it referring to. At the end of every chapter, there is something like this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. अभी फिलहाल तो मेरे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा है.
Hmm.
Probably ओरिजिनल गीता में कुछ कनेक्शन है.
पता नहीं. हाँ. Chalo, as you said, I think we will stop it here.
Yeah.
So I can take time to give her tea and make change myself. Also download this. आजकल बहुत टाइम लग रहा है, पता नहीं मेरा इंटरनेट का कुछ प्रॉब्लम हुआ है.
हम्म.
बुला के इसको चेक करवाना पड़ेगा मेरे राउटर को.
अच्छा.
कितना रात को मैंने कितना लेट पोस्ट किया है कल का रिकॉर्डिंग,
हाँ,
क्योंकि
I
हो
saw
ही
your
नहीं रहा
post
था.
today. I saw your
अपलोड ही
post
नहीं हो रहा
today.
था यूट्यूब में. कितना टाइम लगाया. तुरंत मैंने, वो डाउनलोड तो हो गया था, देन दीदी के साथ मार्केट जाना था मुझे, तो जाने से पहले मैं उसको यूट्यूब पे चढ़ा के गई, तो भी उतना टाइम लगा.
बाप रे.
हाँ. चलो देखती हूँ क्या हुआ है. जितना भी लेगा, टाइम ले लेगा, वापस आके रात को कर दूंगी.
It may be a date, यार.
32 लास्ट में.
Year.
हाँ.
24 is the date, 4 is the month, 32 is the year. When he must have spoken on that, finished that chapter.
पता नहीं,
The
देखेंगे.
next chapter is 1532, huh? Next
Maybe.
chapter is 1532. उसका next वाला chapter देखती हूँ. It appears like that as a date to me, on which he's completed the chapter. Then 8532. Every week he was giving a talk, na?
Must be. Good. चल,
Decipher हो
एटलीस्ट
गया.
2 पैराग्राफ पढ़ के चैप्टर 10 कंप्लीट तो किया. No, it was
चल.
lovely chapter. I loved it. I just loved this.
Yeah.
Seeing God in everything. And then the 11th chapter is, of course, Vishwarup Darshan.
Yeah, and
So
the next is
everything का क्या
Bhagwan.
मतलब होता है in the larger picture.
That's why this background was necessary for it.
So beautiful, so beautiful. Chal, take care.
चलो. Same to you.
Bye.
Bye.